If you have seen this picture where the IBM's easily won over the two highly ranked people in this famous game of Jeopardy. And this very same Watson went on to become IBM Watson in the management of ocular oncology and subsequently to various other conditions. Thank you. So the AI innovation started and in November 2016, the first company to receive FDA clearance in healthcare was a company called Artris Cardio AI, where they were using AI for analyzing cardiovascular images. And subsequently, in our field of ophthalmology, the IDX for diabetic retinopathy by David Abramoff won this. I mean, they got the FDA approval. Again, that was the first AI application that was approved by FDA in 2018. So, why do we need machine learning in medicine? The amount of data that the human brain can analyze is limited to its capacity, while the machine can crunch billions of data in few seconds. And today, there's a huge data that is available. When huge data is there, it is easy for the machines to scan, analyze, and make interpretations much faster than the human brains can do. And that's how AI is coming into the healthcare also. So what can AI do? It can automate repetitive tasks. The simple thing that all of you are hearing about is the DR screening that AI is being used for. Things I can do, but not the good use of my time. There aren't enough people in me in the world to do that. Meaning, somebody to have that capacity to grade these images is a very simple task. If somebody can be trained to identify those images or diabetic images and say this is mild, moderate, severe, today AI is able to do it much faster than even what a human brain can do. So how does it happen? You just train the machine to do repeatedly expose them to these images and then they learn from it. And today there are so many algorithms out there in the market where when you use them, they are able to identify for diabetic retinopathy. So it's a simple tool. As you can see here, the image is dragged and dropped. Within a few seconds, if you just grab the image, the application can give you the diagnosis or the grading like mild, moderate, NPDR in a very few seconds. You don't have to sit and look at those images. So traditionally, we have been doing this for the last 20 years. Dr. Precancer started this whole thing in the first time in the country where we were doing DR screening, tele-DR screening. This has started in 2001, where we were putting fundus cameras in the dermatologist clinics, and their technicians were trained to take photographs and they were sent to us, and our retina specialists would grade the images and send a report back with the turnaround time of 2 hours. Today, with this simple tool, we are done away with it within a few seconds. the diabetologist or the physician who's doing the DR screening is able to get the report, and they're able to advise the patient on what to do further. So this way, the human resource for doing the grading is done away with. There's no time limit, and it is almost instantaneous. This is the most opportunistic screening that we can use for screening for diabetic retinopathy. Wherever the places where the physicians, diabetology clinics, endocrinology clinics, they could use this today to screen screen the diabetic patients. If you look at, we have done multiple validation tests to ensure that this is as good as the human grader, but it's shown in multiple times that it is much better than not only a general ophthalmologist, but even better than a retina specialist. But as I said, just consistent grading. People can make mistakes whether they do it in the morning or in the evening, but AI does it consistently. And more importantly, it's available any time of the day, 24/7. You're able to do that. So we've been using this for the last, after getting the approvals, CE marking, and we have been using this in all our vision centers and multiple diabetic clinics. And we have almost screened about 2 lakh population in the last 2 years. So this, beyond ophthalmology, as you all know, AI is playing a major role. And we see these algorithms being used in multiple areas, like even in cervical precancer detection, where they are able to identify, prove that the AI tools are much better in detecting than reading the pap smears and the other reports than what the humans are able to do. Another important area where AI is being used is in antibiotic discovery. They're bringing in they're able to identify new molecules using these AI algorithms for bringing new drugs into the market. Another area which plays a major role today, you all know chatbots that many companies use for many applications use, where you ask a question and there's a reply coming back. NHS uses this Babylon, a conversational tool that is being used to read, to talk to the patients, and this helps to triage the patient. So in US, in the NHS in the UK, they're using Babylon tool to screen the patients, and only those which these Babylon tool identifies as needing to see the doctor is then given an appointment to see the physician for further management. So these are becoming more popular and becoming more specific in its usage. So health AI is not just around the corner, it is already here. We have been working with multiple companies like Remedio, Google, and various other companies to see how we can make the best use of AI in our healthcare delivery. What are the key trends? What is coming up? As I said, what can AI do? I said automated repetitive tasks, but more importantly today, they're able to find new signals, things that we don't see. The AI is able to observe and identify new things. You've heard of a lot of videos that went viral where Sundar Pichai was saying that the AI tools are now able to identify the cardiovascular risk factors looking at the fundus photos. People are able to identify the gender of the patient by 96% accuracy with just using. Can you imagine? Can we look at a fundus photo and say this is a male or female? But AI tools are able to do. Today, we are also working on few things in detecting the signs from external eye photographs. So we are working on this with Google to see discovering novel systemic biomarkers in the photos of the external eye. This is the second paper that is going to come up in the Lancet. The first one came in Nature. This demonstrates that deep learning system can detect biomarkers of systemic diseases just from external photographs using your smartphones, specifically kidney function, blood count abnormalities, and these are in development. They're not in the market yet, but these are in development, which means it goes to show that AI could bring in a lot more, help us to identify a lot more things that our human eyes may not be seeing. So how do these biomarkers to be translated to have a clinical impact? Time will tell us. Not only in ophthalmology, in basic sciences, from medical imaging, we've seen AI contributing to basic science such as AlphaFold, where researchers have created deep learning algorithm to predict protein structures. This goes a long way in a lot of advances that happens in basic science, in drug discoveries and newer treatment modalities. I think AI will play a bigger role. Of course, all of us have heard about CRISPR, which is now being used as a gene editing tool. Emmanuel and Jennifer won a Nobel Prize on this. And this is an amazing tool that will help us to treat conditions that we were thinking earlier would not be able to be possible. And this has become possible because of technology that's coming in. And of course, the robotic surgeries, we are seeing these advancements and the increased presence of robots in our operating rooms, transporting the surgeons to a new world of visibility and maneuverability. The technology that's happening, I'm sure every one of us are experiencing in our own machines, be it vitrectomy, be it the phaco machines that are changing the way that things work. Digital twin. Again, very interesting. I saw this as a dynamic digital illustration of the patient's physiology and anatomy using various computational models. It takes a lot of data from the lab findings or wearable devices or various other sources that come in from the patient. And it is utilized to generate a digital twin of the patients or organs, which will provide the biochemical, physiological, anatomical, and the functional behavior of the actual system. This will help in integrating this machine learning and deep learning and with virtual and augmented reality. All these are different terms that you keep hearing, and you'll be seeing this more, where the digital twin can help the doctors for customization of therapeutic paths for that particular patient. Again, coming back to ophthalmology today, just by looking at the fundus photo, every one of us we need OCT today to detect the swellings that are happening in the macula. But today with the AI, just by looking at the fundus photos, a single field fundus photo that we are taking, we are able to say whether there is edema or not. And this is a lot of experiments are happening with this. Predicting response. If I give an injection, anti-VEGF injection to this patient, do you think based on his historical, will he be able to respond? It is possible to predict this today. These are a lot of experiments that are happening on using AI in the different tools that we are using. And this is another very interesting thing we are working on, predicting the risk of developing diabetic retinopathy using deep learning. Can you imagine just looking at the fundus photo of a patient of a diabetic patient who doesn't have any retinopathy? What are the chances he or she is likely to develop diabetic retinopathy in the next 5 years? Now, if you know the chances are high, then it makes, you can make sure that those patients are followed up very closely than those patients who have very low risk of developing diabetic retinopathy. So again, as I mentioned, is it human versus machine? How are these advancements impacting the field of medicine? Just want to share about an experiment that Rob Morris is a co-founder of an application called COCO, a peer support self-help tool to support individuals and manage better at mental illness or mental wellness that is there. So he ran an experiment with, we all hear about ChatGPT. There is something called GPT-3. It's a tool that they used to send out to 4,000 patients, and it did beautifully well. He asked questions, the patients answered, the system responded to them very empathetically, and The patients were all very, very happy. And then a lot of people wanted to use it. But however, at some point they had to stop the experiment once the people learned these messages were co-created using artificial intelligence. He says, simulated empathy feels weird, empty. That's true. Just think about it, a machine telling us, don't worry, be happy, and all those things. It doesn't really mean anything when it is coming out of a machine. But when it is coming out of a human, it's totally different. So no matter how much technological advances we see in healthcare, there's no substitute for the genuine human doer.
Dude, ow!
This is what I've been working at.
Hello, I am Baymax, your personal healthcare companion. I was alerted to the need for medical attention when you said, ow.
A robotic nurse.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your pain?
Physical or emotional?
I will scan you now. Scan complete. You have a slight epidermal abrasion on your forearm. I suggest an antibacterial spray.
Whoa. What's in the spray specifically?
The primary ingredient is bacitracin.
It's a bummer. I'm actually allergic to that.
You are not allergic to bacitracin. You do have a mild allergy to peanuts.
Not bad. You've done some serious coding on this thing, huh?
Uh-huh. Programmed him with over 10,000 medical procedures.
So that's a possibility. Soon you may see machines like this in future, which would probably scan us in different ways. So there are definitely massive advancements happening in both the fields, in healthcare and in technology. But what is important for us to know is how do we keep this growing in, and we should keep a track of all of them for us to be on top of this and be participative and be optimistic to see how it can be used to help us in our management of our patients. And as I said, lastly, the way I see is human versus machine is not there. It's human and machine, and it is definitely not against each other. The recent advancements in technology in healthcare will give us a greater opportunity to deliver a care where otherwise it may not be possible. As we were talking about, like today, the very fact that we are using electronic medical records, it's making a big change in the way we see patients. And it will help us to, the data that comes out of it is going to make a big change in learning a lot more about the patient. So I think it's important that we all try to understand this in a much better way and make the best use of technology in delivering healthcare. Thank you.